The frozen moon Velis 9 was a place where even machines feared to walk. The wind cut like knives, the sky stayed dark like an endless night, and the ground was covered in thick layers of blue ice that never melted. Most humans avoided this world. Only fools or heroes stepped on it. Rylan Ward was not sure which one he was. He moved slowly through the snowstorm, his visor fogging again and again. His suit kept making warning sounds. Temperature critical. Oxygen freezing. He ignored it. A weak distress signal had let him hear someone, or something, had sent a final cry for help. The signal lasted only 3 seconds. But he had heard fear in those 3 seconds. And Rylan was the kind of man who could not leave someone to die alone. The storm pushed against him with brutal force. Snow whipped across his helmet. His boots sank deep into soft ice with each step. Still, he continued forward, trusting his scanner to guide him. One beep, another, a third. He stopped. The signal was close. Very close. He wiped the snow from his visor and looked ahead. Something strange stood in the distance, a giant crystal-like shape, tall and shining under the moonlight. It did not belong here. Nothing on Velis 9 shined like that. Rylan walked toward it slowly, his heartbeat rising. As he came closer, the shape inside the ice became clearer. It was not a rock, not an artifact, not a machine. It was a person. More steps. More shock. Inside the huge block of blue ice was a young alien woman. Her eyes were half open, frozen in fear. Her hair floated inside the ice like frozen silver threads. Her skin was pale with glowing blue veins running across her neck and arms, like soft light trapped inside her body. She looked peaceful and terrified at the same time. Rylan felt his breath catch. A living being had been frozen here. He walked around the ice block, scanning everything. There were deep claw marks scratched on the ground, like something violent had attacked. The earth was burned in several spots, as if energy blasts had been fired. It looked like a battle, and she had lost, or maybe she had been left here. A slow chill crawled across Rylan's spine, not from the cold, but from fear. Someone had trapped her on purpose. His scanner beeped again, louder now. He looked down at it. A heartbeat. Weak, fading, almost gone. She's alive. He whispered. He placed his hand on the ice. The surface was freezing, sharp and smooth. But under it he felt a tiny vibration. A pulse, a living pulse. Rylan looked around the empty, icy wasteland. No one else was here. No help would arrive. If he tried to save her, he could freeze to death. If he left her like this, she would definitely die. He stared at her face again. Her eyes seemed to look at him, even through the ice. He made his choice. Rylan pulled out his thermal cutter. A bright orange glow filled the air as the tool activated. He pressed it against the ice, and the thick frozen surface began to melt and crack. The girl inside twitched. He froze in shock. She was reacting. He cut faster. The ice hissed and shattered as he melted layer after layer. Blue steam rose into the cold air. Her arms moved slightly. Her lips trembled. A soft blue glow spread under her skin again. He leaned forward, watching closely. Finally, the last layer of ice broke. Her body fell forward, weak and shaking. Rylan caught her before she hit the ground. She was cold, so cold that even his insulated gloves could feel her freezing skin. Her breath was soft, almost silent. Her eyelashes were covered in frost. Rylan lifted her carefully. "It's okay. I've got you," he whispered, even though she couldn't hear him. But then her fingers moved. Just a little. They curled around his suit, holding on like she was afraid to fall again. Her lips parted. A soft voice escaped. A soft whisper carried by the icy wind. "Rylan." He froze. He had never seen her before. Never met an alien like her. How could she know his name? He looked at her face. Her violet eyes opened for 1 second, glowing faintly, filled with pain and fear. And something else, recognition. Before he could ask anything, the ground behind him trembled. Thud, thud, thud. Heavy, slow footsteps. Metal footsteps. Coming closer through the storm, Rylan turned his head. The snowstorm hid everything, but the sound was clear. Something large was walking toward them. Something strong enough to leave claw marks on the ice prison. Something that wanted her dead. Rylan tightened his grip on the alien girl. She pressed her forehead weakly against his chest. He could feel her cold breath through the suit. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I'm not leaving you here." The footsteps grew louder. Rylan stepped back slowly, holding her close, ready to run or fight. The storm suddenly went quiet. Too quiet, and from the darkness of the frozen wasteland, something growled. The storm around Rylan Ward grew thick again, swallowing every sound except the slow, heavy footsteps approaching through the snow. He held the alien girl, Cerise Vela, tight against his chest. Her skin was freezing, her breathing weak, but she was alive. Barely, he looked down at her. Her violet eyes were half closed, flickering like small dying lights. She looked like she had fought a long battle before the ice swallowed her. But how did she know his name? Why did she whisper it like she had known him all her life? He had no answers. Only danger. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Rylan turned slowly, his visor searching the thick white curtain of snow. Nothing. No body. No shape. But he felt something, an energy in the air, a presence trying to hide in the storm. Cerise suddenly trembled in his arms. Her hand weakly reached out, pointing behind him. He spun. A tall, shadowy figure stood only a few meters away. It was shaped like a humanoid, but its eyes glowed bright red through the storm. The creature's armor looked ancient, cracked, burnt, covered in ice. A strange symbol was carved into its chest, glowing like molten metal. Rylan had seen pictures of this species in old war files. Karnix hunters. Silent killers. They hunted rare beings like trophies, and Cerise. She was clearly their target. The Karnix took one step forward, then another. Its boots crushed the ice under its weight. Rylan whispered, "Don't move, Cerise. I'm here. I won't let it take you." She struggled to speak, her voice shaking. "Don't fight." "Why you can't?" "Watch me," Rylan said, tightening his stance. The Karnix raised one long metal arm, revealing a blade attached to its wrist. The blade glowed red-hot enough to cut through his suit in one strike. Rylan reacted fast. He activated the emergency shield on his arm. A blue energy barrier sparked to life around him and Cerise. The Karnix slammed the glowing blade against it. Crack! The shield flickered, but held for now. Rylan stepped back, dragging Cerise with him. But every step was slow. The snow was deep, the storm thick, and Cerise was barely conscious. Her body kept slipping, leaning against him. The Karnix raised its blade again. Rylan yelled, "Move! Move!" He shifted sideways just as the blade crashed into the frozen ground, slicing through solid ice like butter. Cerise gasped softly. The shock was too much for her weak body. Rylan lifted her fully into his arms. "We're leaving, now." He ran. The storm pushed against him like a wall. Ice stung his faceplate. Cerise clung to him with the little strength she had left. He could feel her heart, a soft, slow rhythm against his chest. Every beat sounded weaker. Behind them, the Karnix roared. A heavy, cold electronic sound that echoed across the frozen valley. Rylan didn't look back. He reached a cluster of broken metal ruins, old research shelters destroyed long ago. He rushed inside the largest one. The roof was half missing, but at least the walls blocked some of the storm. He placed Cerise on a piece of fallen metal. Her breath came out in short, painful gasps. "Stay with me," Rylan whispered, kneeling beside her. "You're safe here for a moment." She shook her head weakly. No, not safe. He follows. Always. Why? Why is he hunting you? Tears formed in her violet eyes. I escaped. My people sold me. To them, Rylan felt anger burn in his chest. Sold? Like an object? He held her hand gently. You're with me now. I won't let anyone take you again. Cerise looked into his eyes, confused and afraid. But why would a human help me? Rylan smiled softly. Because someone should. Her breathing calmed slightly. Her hand tightened around his fingers. But then, a loud metal clang echoed above them. Rylan's eyes widened. The Karniks had found them. A giant shadow moved across the broken roof. Snow fell from cracks. The creature's red eyes glowed down through the opening like twin burning stars. Cerise whispered, "He never stops." Raylan stood up, shielding her with his body. Well, today he will. The Karniks leapt down into the shelter, landing with a heavy crash. Ice flew everywhere. Rylan raised his arm shield again. Cerise tried to sit up, panic in her voice. "Rylan, stop! You'll die." Rylan didn't look back. He just said one thing. "Then I'll die protecting you." The Karniks charged. The Karniks hunter charged through the broken shelter with terrifying speed for something so heavy. Snow blasted outward from the force of its steps, and the ground shook beneath its armored feet. Raylan's shield flared blue as the monster's glowing blade slammed against it. Crack! The barrier bent inward like thin glass. Rylan felt the impact shake his bones. He gritted his teeth and pushed back with everything he had. He had fought dangerous creatures before, but nothing like this. This thing was built to hunt, to chase, to kill. It didn't tire. It didn't hesitate. It simply followed its target until the target stopped breathing. Cerise, Vela half-conscious, struggled to push herself upright. Her lips trembled as she tried to call Rylan's name, but her voice came out as a weak whisper. "Oh, Rylan, please, run." Rylan didn't move. His stance didn't change. "I'm not leaving you." The Karniks raised its blade again, and Rylan knew the shield wouldn't hold another direct hit. He grabbed a broken metal pipe from the floor and threw it like a spear. The pipe hit the Karniks' shoulder, making it stumble only for a second, but that second was enough. "Cerise, hold on." Rylan grabbed her again, lifting her with one arm, and dove behind a fallen metal beam as the blade came crashing down. The metal beam split into two pieces. Cerise gasped, her weak body trembling. "You can't fight him. Humans can't win." Raylan looked at her, his breath forming clouds in the freezing air. "Maybe humans can't win, but I will." Her violet eyes widened, confused by his certainty. The Karnik stepped forward, kicking aside debris like it weighed nothing. It scanned the ruins with red glowing eyes, searching for them. Raylan pressed his back against the wall and lowered his voice. "Cerise, why is he after you? What makes you so important?" She closed her eyes tightly, as if remembering something painful. "I was born with the Valen spark, a power inside my blood. Rare, valuable." She took a slow breath. "My people, they feared it, so they sold me to the hunters. They freeze us, transport us, auction us." Raylan felt a fire ignite inside him. Sold, hunted, frozen like an object. No one deserved that. He brushed a lock of her frozen hair away from her face. "You're not a thing, and I won't let them treat you like one." Her eyes softened. "But why? I'm not human. You gain nothing." Raylan smiled weakly. "I don't need a reason to do the right thing." Before she could answer, the Karniks roared again, a deep mechanical growl, and smashed through another wall. Ice and metal exploded everywhere. Rylan grabbed a loose energy cell from the ground. Old, unstable, but still active. He tossed it under the Carnix's feet. The Carnix stepped on it. Boom! The explosion knocked the creature off balance, its armor crackling with blue sparks. It wasn't destroyed, but it was finally slowed. Rylan didn't waste the chance. He pulled Cerise to her feet. She leaned heavily against him, her legs barely able to hold her. "We have to get to my ship," Rylan said. "It's the only way out." Cerise nodded weakly. The spark. Inside me, it's fading. If I lose it, I will die." He tightened his grip. "Then we reach the ship before that happens." They moved toward a broken doorway, snow blowing in through the gap. Raylan felt the cold biting into his skin even through the suit. Cerise was getting weaker. Her pulse was slowing. Her glowing veins flickered like dying lights. Behind them, the Carnix lifted itself from the rubble. Its armor steamed. Its blade reignited with a sharp red glow. Raylan and Cerise had only seconds. He pulled her outside and into the blinding blizzard. The wind stung his face. The storm was stronger, now like the moon itself wanted to swallow them. "Rylan." Cerise whispered faintly. "If we die, here." "I'm sorry." He stopped, turned her face gently toward him. "Cerise, you're not dying today." Her eyes softened again. Her hand brushed his chest lightly. "Why do you care so much?" Raylan didn't have a clear answer. Maybe it was her eyes. Maybe it was her fear. Maybe no one should die alone in a block of ice. He rested his forehead against hers. Because someone should care. The moment lasted only a second, because the snow around them erupted as the Carnix burst through the shelter wall. Roaring like a machine demon, Raylan grabbed Cerise and ran. The storm swallowed them. But the hunter followed, and this time, it was getting faster. Asterisk snow whipped across Rylan's visor as he carried Cerise through the storm. The wind felt alive, pushing against him with every step, freezing his suit, biting into his skin. His arms shook from exhaustion, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Cerise's body grew colder by the minute. Her glowing blue veins, once bright, were now fading into a dull, weak shimmer. Her breath came out slow and uneven. Every few seconds, she blinked like someone drifting into darkness. "Stay awake," Rylan said softly. "Talk to me, Cerise. Tell me anything." She tried to speak, but her voice was dry, barely a whisper. "Rylan, I can't feel my spark." He tightened his grip around her. "You'll feel it when we reach the ship. I'll warm you. I'll save you." Her head rested against his chest, her cold cheek touching the warm metal of his suit. "Humans are strange," she whispered. "No one ever risked their life for me." Rylan smiled weakly, even though the storm stole most of the warmth from his face. "Get used to it. Humans do crazy things." But inside he felt fear. She was dying. If her spark went out, there might be no way to bring her back. Behind them, a deep roar rolled across the frozen valley. The Carnix hunter had found their trail again. Its red eyes burned through the storm like two small suns. Rylan turned his head and saw the dark silhouette advancing. It didn't walk this time, it ran. Fast. "We need to move," he said urgently, but his legs felt heavier with every step. The cold was stronger now. The storm was getting worse, and Cerise grew weaker in his arms, her body stiffening like she was turning into ice again. Her fingers slipped from his suit. "Cerise, no, stay with me." Her lips trembled. My body, freezing. "I can't hold on." Rylan stopped. He knew something was wrong, not just with her spark, but with her life force itself. She was losing warmth too fast. He had one last option. He dropped to his knees behind an ice wall and pulled Cerise closer, wrapping his arms completely around her body. His suit's emergency heat system hummed loudly as he redirected all remaining power into the heating pads inside his armor. Warmth flooded through his chest, and into her. She gasped softly, her cold fingers gripping his suit again. Her glowing veins brightened just a little. "Rylan, what are you doing?" "Keeping you alive." Her eyes flickered open, weak but grateful. "But your suit, it will lose power." "I don't care, but you'll freeze." I said I don't care. Her eyes softened with something he had never seen before, trust deeper than fear, and warmth even stronger than her spark. She rested her forehead against his. Why are you like this?" "Because you deserve to live." Before she could speak again, the ice around them cracked. A heavy shadow loomed above them. Snow fell from the ledges. The Carnix had found them again, its red eyes focused on Cerise, like a predator spotting prey. Rylan pulled her behind him, shielding her with his body. He stood up slowly, even though his suit screamed warnings. The Carnix raised its glowing blade and charged. Rylan grabbed a chunk of broken ice and threw it. The creature swatted it aside. Its blade sliced through the ice wall, scattering the frozen shards everywhere. Rylan activated his last emergency flare and threw it at the Carnix's face. The flare exploded into a bright blue flash, blinding the monster for a moment. He didn't wait. He grabbed Cerise, lifted her again, and ran. His ship was somewhere ahead, buried in snow, but his navigation visor showed the direction. Cerise clutched his suit weakly. "Rylan, you'll die. If you keep warming me." "I'll die anyway if that thing catches us," he said, breath shaking. She tried to smile. "You humans, strange, but brave. You haven't seen me on a good day." The storm opened for a moment, and he finally saw his ship, half covered in ice but still intact. A small hope. He pushed forward with the last of his strength, but the Carnix reached them. A heavy metal hand grabbed Rylan's shoulder and yanked him backward. The force knocked both him and Cerise into the snow. Cerise screamed softly as she fell. Rylan rolled over her, shielding her again. The Carnix raised its blade to strike, and at that moment, Cerise's eyes snapped open fully. Her veins glowed bright blue. The spark inside her was waking again. She lifted her hand, glowing with energy, pointed at the Carnix. A pulse of blue light exploded from her palm. The Carnix was thrown backward into the ice with a deafening crash. Cerise collapsed again, breathing hard. Rylan stared at her in shock. "What was that?" She whispered one word before losing consciousness. "Spark." The blast from Cerise's spark echoed across the frozen valley like thunder trapped in ice. The Carnix hunter flew backward, slamming hard into a wall of jagged ice spikes. The impact shook the ground beneath Rylan's feet. Then everything went quiet again, too. Quiet. Rylan didn't waste a second. He crawled toward Cerise, who lay motionless in the snow, her glowing veins flickering like a dying candle. He lifted her gently into his arms. Her skin felt colder than before, as if the spark had taken what little warmth she had left. "Cerise," he whispered urgently, "stay with me." Her eyelids trembled, barely opening. "Rylan, I didn't want to use it. It takes too much from me. You saved us." She shook her head weakly. "No, the spark. It burns my life when I use it." That sentence pierced him deeper than the storm ever could. "You're saying it hurts you. It shortens me," she breathed softly. "Every time I use the spark, I lose a part of my life." Rylan's chest tightened. No wonder her people sold her. No wonder she was hunted. Her gift was powerful, but her gift was killing her. He held her close, feeling her cold breath against his suit. "Cerise, I won't let you burn your life away." She gave him a weak smile. "I used it because you were in danger." Before he could answer, the ice behind them cracked again. A deep metallic groan rolled through the air. The Carnix was not dead. Rylan turned his head sharply. Through the blowing snow, He saw the creature dragging itself from the shattered ice wall. Its armor sparked and hissed. One of its glowing red eyes flickered, but still burned with rage. It wasn't just hunting Cerise now. It was furious that she had heard it. Rylan stood up, pulling Cerise close to his chest. "We don't have time. Hold on to me." He ran toward his ship, now only 20 meters away, but every step felt heavier than the last. His suit's heating system had drained most of its power into Cerise. His muscles burned from exhaustion. His vision blurred at the edges, behind him. The Carnix let out a thunderous roar and charged again, moving faster than before, despite its damaged armor. The snow around them exploded as the creature plowed through the storm. Cerise opened her eyes halfway. "Rylan, put me down. You can run faster." "No, please. You'll die. I'm not leaving you." Rylan shouted, his breath breaking. She looked at him with shock. No one in her life had ever said those words. The ship was close now. So close. But the Carnix was closer. It leapt forward, its blade slicing the air, its red light reflecting off the snow. Rylan could feel the ground shaking under his feet. He reached the ship and slammed his fist onto the control panel near the ramp. The door hissed and opened halfway before freezing halfway. "Come on," he yelled at the old ship. "Not now." The Carnix raised its glowing blade to strike. Rylan spun around and angled himself over Cerise. Using his own body as a shield, the blade came down and struck the half-open ship ramp instead, sending sparks flying everywhere. Rylan took his chance. He threw all his strength into pulling Cerise under the half-open door. He shoved her inside first, ignoring how the metal scraped his suit. The Carnix grabbed Rylan's leg. Rylan screamed as he was pulled back out into the storm. Cerise, though barely conscious, reached for him weakly. "Rylan!" He dug his gloves into the snow, trying to hold on. The Carnix pulled harder, its grip like cold iron. Rylan felt his suit tear around his boot. Freezing air rushing inside, the creature raised its blade for a killing strike. Cerise forced her weak arm up, hand glowing faintly. "No. Cerise, don't." Rylan shouted. If she used the spark again, she might die for real, but she didn't listen. A faint pulse of blue energy left her palm weak, but enough to distract the Carnix for half a second. Rylan used that moment. He twisted his leg, pulling free from the torn armor plate, and rolled under the half-open ship door. He slammed the emergency button. The door dropped shut with a heavy clang, cutting off the Carnix's blade by inches. Outside, the creature slammed against the ship, roaring in frustration. Inside, Rylan lay on the cold metal floor, breathing hard. He crawled to Cerise, who was almost unconscious. "Cerise, stay awake, please." Her glowing veins dimmed even more. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Rylan, I think I burned too much." "No," he said, shaking his head, refusing to accept it. "You saved me. Now I save you." Her eyes closed slowly. "You already did." Then her hand slipped from his and the last spark of blue light under her skin faded. Asterisk inside the freezing ship. Every sound felt too loud. Rylan's heartbeat, his trembling breaths, the distant metallic pounding from the Carnix outside. But none of it mattered compared to the tiny, weakening breaths of the alien girl lying in his arms. Cerise Vela looked weightless, almost ghost-like, her glowing veins now nothing more than faint blue threads. Her spark, the strange, precious energy inside her, had nearly burned out completely. Her head rested against Rylan's chest. Her skin was ice cold. Too cold. Rylan shook her gently. "Cerise, wake up," he whispered. No answer. He pressed his fingers to her neck. Her pulse fluttered softly like a bird trapped in a cage. "Don't leave me," he said, voice breaking. "You hear me? You don't get to leave." The ship shook as the Carnix slammed its blade against the outer hull. Sparks showered across the interior. The monster hadn't given up. It wanted her spark. It wanted her life. But Rylan had only one focus: keeping Cerise alive. He lifted her carefully and carried her to the ship's med capsule. Its glass surface was cracked, the systems old, half broken, but it still had basic functions. He laid her inside and activated the emergency warm core. The capsule glowed faintly, warming the air. Her lips parted. A tiny breath escaped. Then her eyes opened just a little. "Rylan?" she whispered weakly. He leaned close. "I'm here." She blinked slowly, her voice shaking like a dying flame. "I can't feel myself." "You don't need to," he said softly, brushing her cheek. "Just focus on staying with me." She smiled a small, heartbreaking smile. "You give me warmth." The capsule beeped loudly. "Warning. Body temperature critical warning. Cell activity failing warning. Spark collapse approaching." Rylan gritted his teeth and gripped the edge of the capsule. "No, I won't let that happen." Her gaze wandered to the ceiling. "Rylan, do humans fear death?" He froze. "Of course we do. Everyone fears death. But you still saved me," she whispered. "Even when it meant your own death." Rylan swallowed hard. "I didn't save you because I'm human," he said quietly. "I saved you because you're you." Her violet eyes shimmered soft, warm, full of something he couldn't name. "No one has ever said that to me." A violent crash shook the ship again. The Carnix roared outside, trying to tear the hull open with its claws. Metal bent. Bolts snapped. Time was running out. Rylan looked at the med capsule readings. Her spark, what kept her alive, was fading fast. There was a single option left: a spark transfer. A dangerous, illegal process that allowed energy from one person to be transferred into another for survival. The risk? If he misjudged the flow, Cerise would burn. If he hesitated, she would die. If he gave too much, he would die. Rylan didn't have to think twice. He grabbed the transfer cables and connected them to his suit. The small sparks of blue light danced around the connectors. "Ser," Ice whispered. "What are you doing?" "Giving you a reason to breathe," he said firmly. Her eyes widened slightly. "No, Rylan, humans can't give spark energy. You'll lose your life force. I'll give you as much as I have." "No. Please, don't," she begged, tears in her eyes. "Everyone leaves me. I do not want you to die too." Rylan leaned close, his forehead touching hers through the capsule's glass. "I'm not leaving." Before she could stop him, he activated the transfer. A surge of blue light exploded between them. Cerise gasped, her body arching sharply as warmth flooded into her. Her glowing veins brightened again, first dim, then clearer, then almost bright enough to glow through the capsule. Rylan's knees buckled. His breathing grew heavy. His vision blurred. He felt his strength draining like water leaking from a cracked glass. Cerise saw it. Even in her weak state, she saw it. "Stop! Rylan, stop!" she cried, lifting her hand and pressing it to the inside of the capsule. "You're killing yourself." He forced a smile. "You need this more than I do." "No," she screamed, tearful. "I won't let you die for me." He closed his eyes. "Then live for me." The spark transfer reached its peak. The blue glow engulfed them both, lighting the entire ship like a small sun burning in the darkness. Then the energy connection snapped. Rylan fell backward, hitting the metal floor. Cerise sat up inside the capsule, glowing bright. Breathing hard but alive, she looked at Rylan lying motionless, his chest rising slowly. Her voice broke. "Rylan, what have you done?" The Carnix slammed the hull again. Cerise turned her glowing eyes toward the door. This time, the fear in her expression was gone, only fire remained. The ship shook violently as the Carnix hunter slammed its metal fists against the outer hull. Sparks rained down inside the dark cabin. Every impact echoed through the small vessel like thunder trapped in a cage. But this time, Cerise Vela did not flinch. She stood slowly inside the med capsule, blue light glowing beneath her skin like a living constellation. Her spark was alive again, brighter, clearer, more powerful than before. And it was because of him. Rylan lay on the cold floor beside the capsule, breathing weakly, his face pale. The spark transfer had drained him, stolen most of his warmth, maybe even part of his life force. His chest rose and fell unevenly, like a candle flame fighting wind. Cerise knelt next to him, her eyes wide with fear and love, raw, unhidden, overwhelming. "Rylan, please open your eyes," she whispered, touching his frozen cheek with her warm hand. "You gave me your life, without asking for anything." His eyes opened only a little, just enough to see her. He smiled weakly. "I keep my promises." She pressed her forehead to his. "You foolish, beautiful human." Another violent crash shook the ship. The Carnix was tearing its way inside. Metal bent inward. The inner lights flickered. "They had seconds," Raylan whispered. "Cerise, you have to run. You're strong now. You can escape." She shook her head fiercely. "I will not run. Not again. Not while you lie here dying because of me." Her glowing eyes turned toward the door. The hunter roared outside, furious, unstoppable. Cerise stood up. The blue light from her spark flowed across her arms, her chest, her face strong and fierce like a rising star. Her long silver hair floated gently in the air as if caught in a quiet wind. Though the air inside the ship was still, she stepped toward the entrance. Every footstep cracking with energy. The Carnix door opened the outer plate. A large metal claw forced its way inside. Then the hunter's red eyes appeared through the gap. Burning with hunger. It reached forward. Cerise raised her hand. "Leave him," she whispered. Her voice was soft, but the power behind it was not. The Carnix lunged. Cerise unleashed her spark. A massive burst of blue energy erupted from her palm, so bright it turned the entire ship white for a second. The blast slammed into the hunter, throwing the massive armored creature back several meters. It crashed onto the ice outside, its armor cracking into pieces, but Cerise didn't stop. She stepped through the broken hull and out into the storm. Snow swirled around her, but none of it touched her body. Her spark heated the air, creating an aura of shimmering warmth. The Carnix stood again, damaged but still fighting, its blade ignited, burning red. Cerise lifted both hands this time. "You hunted me," she said, her voice trembling with strength. "You froze me. You tried to take my spark. You tried to take the only person who ever cared for me." The snowstorm around them spun faster. As if responding to her emotions, the Carnix charged. Cerise screamed, not in fear, but in power. A beam of intense blue light burst from her hands, colliding with the Carnix's glowing blade. The ground shook. Ice shattered like glass. A shockwave spread across the valley, blowing away snow in every direction. The Carnix stumbled backward, armor glowing hot, circuits breaking. Cerise took a step forward, her eyes glowing like stars. "For him," she whispered. One final blast. The Carnix's armor shattered completely, and the creature collapsed into the snow, silent, defeated. Finally dead. The storm went quiet. Cerise fell to her knees, panting, her spark dimming into a gentle glow. She had used a tremendous amount of energy, but this time, the spark did not drain her life. Raylan's gift had changed something inside her. She crawled back into the ship, breath shaking. Raylan lay still. Cerise touched his face again. "Rylan, please wake up. You saved me. Let me save you too." She placed both her glowing hands on his chest and closed her eyes. Instead of giving spark, she returned a small part of the energy her spark, Now stable, healing, warm. Rylan gasped suddenly. His eyes opened. Cerise cried with relief and threw her arms around him. He hugged her back weakly, his voice soft. "You're still here. I will never leave you again," she whispered, holding him tightly. "Not after everything you gave me." He brushed her hair gently. "What now?" She smiled softly, her glow reflecting off the dark metal walls. "Now, we leave this frozen world together." "Together," he repeated. Cerise helped him sit up, her spark lighting the small ship like a warm sunrise. Outside, the storm had quieted. The Karniks lay defeated. For the first time in her life, Cerise wasn't running. For the first time, she wasn't alone, and for the first time, Raylan felt something more than duty, something warm, powerful, and impossible to ignore. As the ship engines awakened beneath them. Two lives that should never have met now moved forward side by side, human and alien. Heart and spark, together,